If you want to know why smart nurses stay stuck, stay tuned to our next episode.
Hello, fellow nurse entrepreneurs. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was always wanted to help nurses work from anywhere, pretty much have the flexibility, pretty much have their freedom so that they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Joining VP Nursing was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made. If I was to have a regret, it would be that I didn't join sooner.
If they wanted to be with their children, if they wanted to be with their families, they can do exactly what they wanted to do.
Ola is the type of person, she's not going to let you stay the same. The way she levels up her clients in every area of their lives.
I could not have imagined being a nurse with my own business, being in this space with so many amazing people, with a coach that 1,000,000% cares about what my outcome is going to be.
And so here at VP Nursing, we teach nurses how to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money, owning their own time, building profitable nurse coaching, consulting, and service-based businesses. And so now we're at the beach and we're working at the beach and we're having a great time. We're doing a brand photo shoot. It's an amazing time. So if you want to learn how to work from anywhere around the world, creating that flexibility, creating that freedom for yourself, but monetizing the knowledge that you already have, join us at VP Nursing Business Academy.
Hello, everyone. So this is our weekly live. And so one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is why smart nurses stay stuck longer than everyone else. Okay. Being smart does not move, your life decisions do. And it's so important that we understand that. Okay. Now, smart does not equal free. We know that because one of the things that we know as a, whether you're black or white, you should already know this, that Black women are the highest educated. However, we have the lowest net worth. So smart does not equal free all the time, right? So in understanding that the more degrees you have, it does not mean anything. High intelligence does not guarantee momentum. Education increases knowledge, not decisiveness. Okay. And I want you to understand that. And the knowledge sometimes is not like workable knowledge at times, right? So sometimes you may have knowledge that is, like you can go out and you can make decisions and then that thing can catapult you to the next level. However, most of the time it can't, right? Because think about, all the things that we learned in high school. And, I probably have some of my teachers coming from it, but that's okay. You can come for me, right? Because I didn't need calculus. I needed to know what 1 + 1, that 1 + 1 = 2. And I needed to know how to multiply and subtract and add in order to have, know what my P&L, which is my profit and loss statement. I needed to know what that meant, but I don't really need to know all those other things. All the theory that we learn in nursing school. Yes, there are theories that you need to test, but we don't need to spend an entire semester on theory and theory alone. Like theory without action means nothing, right? And I think that that's one of the things, and I keep trying to put it together, but that's one of the things that really stops nurses sometimes from getting to where they need to be. Overeducation can delay action. It can become the most expensive form of procrastination because sometimes nurses think, well, I got to have another degree. I've got to have another certification. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Does it sometimes position you in a better space? Yeah. But do people really care about it if you can solve their problem? No. If you can solve their problem, they don't care how many degrees you got. They don't care how many certifications you got. If you can solve their problem, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And that's one of the things that you really have to know. Now, the education trap, train to get it right every time. And this is something that nurses always do. And this is, it's ingrained in us. And the reason why I do have to say this is because of the fact that whenever you go into a patient's room and whenever you start working on a patient and you don't get that thing right, then that patient can die. It's not that way in business. Okay. Now, certain things are going to happen in business, but what happens is, and they are punished. The mistakes are punished when you're in healthcare. They're not leveraged, right? Because you're going to fail and whenever you start a business, it's just what it is. You're going to quote unquote fail, but you're not failing. I shouldn't say fail. You are going to have some mishaps in business. The only time that you fail in business is if you stop. That's the only time. But the mishaps that you have in business teach you never ever to do that again. It's just like mishaps in life, right? But you're not going to kill your business unless you may have that failure be the thing that stops you from moving forward. And I've heard this a lot lately, and I want to address this. That they talk about the liability that's put on my license. Like, there is there some liability, but there's ways of getting around that too, right? I mean, there's liability. I don't care what you do. There's liability when you go online and you put in your information. There's liability when you get in your car and you drive to the store. There's liability when you get in a plane. There's all kinds of liability. But when you don't move, then you stay right where you are. So do you want to stay at home all day? Do you not want to go to where you want to go? Do you want to go to your nice destinations? No, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing the thing in order to get you to where you need to be, feeling responsible, but it's costly. Waiting feels responsible, but it's not responsible. It is costly. Because I used the example, I was on the masterclass today, and one of the things that I use as an example is that if you wait 10 years, if you want to make $100,000 a year, and that's a low ball, I think that you should be able to make more than that, especially in the healthcare realm, right? But if you make $100,000 a year per se, we'll say that, right? Initially, if you wait 10 years to get your business started, that's $1 million that you have just wasted. Because you waited that long in order to get your business started. Do you want to lose $1 million? No. And degrees don't create momentum, decisions do. And so we're inviting you during this time to the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. And the reason why we're inviting you to the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference is because what you have to understand is that whenever you get into another room with other people who are trying to make their lives so much better, then it literally changes who you are. You start to feel the motivation. I never went to a conference ever. Not once, not twice, not ever. Not ever went to a conference and not came back different. I've never ever went to a conference and not came back and made more money because I'm an implementer. Now, of course, you've got to implement, you got to execute, you got to do the thing, right? And that's just like it is in nursing, right? So if you walk into a patient's room, you never touch the patient, you never put the monitor on, you never put the IV in, and then you expect the patient to get better, then they're not going to get better. So it's the same way in business. Then readiness, and this is a thing, child, you think you're ready to begin. Readiness is not required to begin, right? Waiting to feel ready. Waiting costs time, income, and your belief, because you then believe, well, I'm okay where I'm at. And then you stay stuck years and years and years and years. See, most nurses wait years for a feeling that never comes, because business is not about feelings, okay? Business is about you moving the needle forward, right? You won't, 9 times out of 10, you won't feel ready. Now, I felt frustrated in my previous position. Did I feel ready necessarily to start my own business? Not necessarily. Like if I could have found, God knew that he wanted me right here where I'm at right now. Because he like literally every door that I hit, I got blocked. Every door. And it wasn't because like I had really good numbers. I was well educated. I had a great attitude. We had a good time. However, I kept getting blocked from the promotions that I was needing to get. And what I realized was that this was strategic in God's plan, because he said, if you keep getting blocked, then you're going to go out and you're going to start your own. And some of you are feeling that same thing and you're just not moving. Now, this is the truth about confidence. All right. Confidence follows movement. People are like, well, I need to feel confident in order to be able to do it. No. That's not the way that it works. The way that it works is that you have to be confident first, and then it follows the movement, right? So I remember when I first started filming, child, it was a hot mess, okay? It was dark in the room, and I could barely speak on camera. It was the biggest, hottest mess I have ever seen, but I kept moving. I didn't let that one video stop me. It's still up on YouTube today. I didn't let it stop me, because what I did know was that I needed I needed to just keep moving. And so I changed the way things were done. I changed the lighting. I changed, now we record videos. Mostly we record them outside whenever we're traveling. right? Because I tell people all the time that the walls of my house are white, all right? Because I don't like decorating. My husband asked me today, he said, we need a front door. What door do you want? I said, I don't care because I don't. I'm not decorating. I'm not the decorating type. Like, I don't even buy my clothes. All right. I have my niece. She does my clothes. She does all of my clothes that I wear to any conference. She is thebomb.com. And then I have my daughter to do it every now and then. Okay. So those things just don't matter to me because they're not my highest income producing activity. And that's the thing that you have to lean into is your highest income producing activity. Because those things, there are certain things that you're going to do during the day that are just not producing you income. I tell people all the time, we have housekeepers to come in. The reason why we have housekeepers is because that's not my highest income producing activity. My highest income producing activity is putting out content. My highest income producing activity is making sure that I am moving so that I can educate nurses on how to start businesses and how to get in the business and make sure that the business works efficiently and effectively. Action creates evidence. Okay. Now, what that means is that when you act and then you have evidence. So I have a client. And so she initially, we were talking about her doing a wound care business. She was getting into that, but she really wasn't feeling it. Like, and I know that we don't need to be feeling it, but she wanted to do something else. And she told me, she was like, well, I really want to do elder homes, right? Like for the elderly to come in, almost like an assisted living facility. And I was like, well, do that, right? I said, we can talk about the real estate because we own a real estate company, right? And I said, and I can tell you. So we started talking about the real estate. And so then she went in and she's actually getting ready to close on her house very, very soon. The offer was accepted. She's getting ready to close on the house. She's getting ready to get her first patient. But this is the deal. The reality is that what she did was she started acting upon that. She started looking for houses. She started sending me the houses. We started evaluating the houses. And the good thing about having a coach who's already done these things is that you can just lean on them for the expertise that they have, right? And so she would Vox with me because whenever you're in the inner circle, you get the opportunity to Vox with me. And so she would Vox with me and she would ask me, well, what can I do here? What should I do with this instance? And I would tell her exactly what to do, where to look for the houses, where to look for the commercial buildings, because there's certain sites that you look for houses, how to look for the comparables in the area to compare it to the current house that you have, right? So those are the things that it moved her forward, right? Evidence builds belief. And so, we tell the story a lot about Jamisha and how she initially, when she first started, right? There was somebody who came in and said that she was not going to be able to do the thing that she was going to be able to do. And I said, you're on the cusp of your breakthrough. And that's the reality of having a coach who really understands what you're going through and the things that you're going through. I don't listen to anybody that tells me that I can't do something. Tell me I can't do it. I'm going to tell you what I can do. And I'm going to meet you on the day that I do it. Okay? Because the reality is that I can do all things. And there's very few absolutes in the Bible. And this is what you have to realize. I can do all things, all things through Christ who strengthens me and according to his purpose. This is the thing, is that we have to be very intentional about understanding that we are created by a creator and we're created in his image. And so we are creators. And when we understand that we are creators, then we have to understand that there are people that may try to hold us back. And they listen, at the end of the day, they can't hold you back no more than you are holding you back. You have to have that mindset that I'm going to move no matter what. I listen to affirmations every morning, but not just listening to affirmations. I listen to affirmations because I know that I need my mind to be fed with the things that I can do. Because the world will tell you about all the things that you can't do, right? You can't think your way into confidence. But as soon as I do those affirmations, then I'm getting up and doing the thing, because faith without works is dead. And so we have to understand that, right? Permission conditioning. You see, nurses are trained to ask. It's just what it is. Nurses are trained to ask for what they want. They're trained to ask for everything, right? Before they act. Because we have to get the order from the physician. I get it, right? You see, approval becomes habit. ownership feels unsafe at first. It feels very unsafe. And it feels like I had a client today, a potential client today, she was on the call, she was on the masterclass, and she was saying, I'm not necessarily that leader, right? But the reality is that if you say it's all about life and death in the tongue, you have to believe, and you have to say it on a regular basis that you are who you are, right? I know that I'm created to create. I know that I'm created to be more. If you'd have told me 20 years ago that I would be starting a business or that I would have a business, I would have said, no, that's not what I wanted to do. If you were trained to ask, you were not trained to lead, right? And that's one of the things that you want to be intentional about, and understanding that, because you want to understand that you are trained to ask. You're not trained to lead. But once you understand how to lead, because there's two different subsets that you need to get into whenever you're leading, okay? And you have to understand that leadership is a different skill set than just doing the task, right? And leadership, I read a book by John Maxwell. It's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And once I read that book, then it really, really changed how I looked at life and how I looked at people and how I looked at the things that I've done. So we're going to go to a small commercial break, and then we're going to come right back, okay?
Stop renewing your license just to stay broke. Every renewal season, nurses pay fees, take classes, and check boxes, but never build wealth. That license you're renewing every 2 years, it's a gold mine if you stop using it the old way. At the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference, you'll learn how to leverage that same license to build your own business, to coach, to consult, and to create offers that bring freedom, not fatigue. And yes, you'll still earn CEUs. Comment conference below and we'll send you the details.
So here we go. We're going to share the screen again, and we're going to get back to it. So this right here. Now, why smart nurses stay longer? Their internalized responsibility, high performance internalized responsibility. Loyalty rewarded wrong. Loyalty is rewarded with more work. How many of you have been really, really good at your job, and you see someone that's lazy, they're not doing all their work, and the charge nurse will inevitably give you more work? And the reason why they give you more work is because they can depend on you to actually do it. But the people who are not doing the job, then they can't depend on them. And it's like a catch-22. So it's rewarded, not freedom. Now, intelligence fuels overthinking, because you think, what way could it go wrong? What way could it go right? Like, really think about that, right? High intelligence without action becomes a cage. And you have to know that. Now, employee thinking, you wait for clarity, you seek permission, you ties work to your credentials. So the more credentials that you have, the more worthy I am. You are worth more than money can buy, but your rate is your rate. And so it has nothing to do with your credentials. I used to always think that I needed to go back to school to get all these degrees. And I did. I went back to school to get all these degrees so I could stand here and tell you this right now. It did not make a difference in the amount of income that I made. As a matter of fact, I could have stopped at the ADN that I had, the associate degree that I had, and I would still be good. All right. CEO thinking, you decide with imperfect information. Stop thinking about all the ways that it could go wrong. Start thinking about all the ways that it could go right. But one of the things that happens whenever you get coaching, okay, or whenever you get in a room with more people, what happens is they start to let you know like where you're going wrong. Because sometimes whenever it's just like whenever you're in the room with a patient and the patient has some things going on, or the patient is coding and we're trying to decide what we need to do, right? You've got a whole team around you. It's very much like that whenever you get in a community and you have a whole team around you. The whole team around you can help you to move the needle. Move before comfort, before you feel comfortable in moving. We made a decision this morning actually to move before we were comfortable making the decision. You know, I had my coach, she said that she outpaces her fear. And I do too. I just outpace it. I don't really think about it. I just do it. Right? Builds value through execution. CEOs don't wait to be chosen. They choose themselves. Like, I'm not going to wait to, like, I wanted to speak on conference stages everywhere. But once I decided, now I have spoken some conference stages, but at the same time, what you have to realize is that I made my own conference because I didn't want to, all that drama, right? I wanted to make sure that I had the space, and now I have the space, and now I have a whole conference. Eric Thomas said that, we don't need to go to your stage. We can build our own, right? And the identity shift. Oh God, this is so good, right? New degrees required. Decision reshapes identity, and action changes your self-belief. And so, I was reading a book by, what is her name? Sheila Johnson. Now, Sheila Johnson, she used to be married to Rob Johnson. I think that's his name. I think that's their name. Anyway, Sheila, they own BET. I could have the names wrong. However, she has a book called Walk Through Fire. You should really read that book. And in the book, what happened was she had a father who was a neurosurgeon. Her mother was an accountant. And in the book, they talk about how her father left them. And like they didn't go over there every other weekend. What happened was he just left. She saw him one other time, and he was really ugly to her that one other time that she did see him. And she felt like she was close to her daddy. But she always identified, and you could tell whenever she married her husband, her ex-husband at this time, you can tell that she had an identity issue. You see, you have to identify as somebody who's going to move. Like we talk about the locked nurse, the locked nurse, there's three. The locked nurse, well, it's the liberated nurse is the one that we really talk about, right? The locked nurse, the loyal nurse, and the liberated nurse. I'm sorry. So those three, when you talk about those, loyal to everybody else except for yourself. Locked nurse, you're locked into this position. You don't really think you can move. It feels unstable for you to move. And then there's the liberated nurse. The liberated nurse don't ask for permission. The liberated nurse says, I'm going to move no matter what. I remember when I first started, I didn't really want to expose kind of what was happening in the healthcare system. I was kind of, I don't know whether I should do that or not. But the reality was that once I separated, I just exposed it. And I said that a COO told me that he wanted patients to stay in the hospital. And the reality is that that's what you have to realize what kind of country we live in, right? And the reality is that we live in a country where we are the richest people in the world, but we have the poorest healthcare. We have to be very clear about that. Okay. So there is reasons for that. And so in order for you to help the healthcare system, you have to shift it and do things differently. You don't need to become someone new. You need to decide differently, right? Why rooms matter. Now, this is the reason why the Millionaire Nurse CEO is important. Conference, okay? Because isolation, it talks about isolation in the Bible, an isolated man, right? It keeps doubt alive. Proximity accelerates belief. The more I get in rooms with other people who are closing deals, who are closing 6-figure deals, who are building 7-figure companies, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, if they did, then by all means, I can do it, right? Execution grows in rooms, right? You see, clarity starts alone. Courage grows in rooms, right? Now, why this can't be solved online? Information doesn't change behavior. Thinking alone reinforces hesitation. Movement requires interruption. You don't need more information. You need an interruption. So to get away from your normal life, to get away from where you are now, and to decide that, okay, this is what we're going to do. Now, decisions are made in rooms. Decisions stick when witnessed. All right? They stick a whole lot better whenever you're in a room with someone. Courage is contagious, and momentum multiplies in proximity. People don't change their lives in isolation. They change their lives in rooms. Now, borrowed belief. Confidence accelerates in proximity. Seeing it makes it real. Belief transforms in rooms. You borrow belief before you build it. Let me explain that again. Let me say that again. You borrow belief before you build it. Like I had to see somebody else doing it before I thought that I could ever do it. And once I saw somebody else doing it, that didn't even have a degree. And they were literally building a multi-million-dollar business. I was like, well, what am I over here thinking that I can't do something for? And most of you nurses, you are amazing. Like, you have all these degrees, feeling stuck. You see, execution will happen in the Millionaire Nurse CEO conference. Ideas turn into decisions, decisions turn into plans, plans turn into income. Execution doesn't happen in your head, it happens in the room, right? Now, why Smart Nurse needs this room? Overthink alone. Smart nurses overthink alone. They delay privately. High performers delay privately and decide public, but CEOs decide publicly. Smart nurses don't need more thinking time. They need more decision time. The room collapses time. And one of the things, and this is where coaching helps you too, it's because it collapses the time. I want you to drop a 6 in if you went to your, this is the reason why I love coaching. I remember when I first, this is how I knew that this is what I was going to do, was because when I was precepting. And if you've ever precepted in coaching and consulting, it's one of the things that you could do. Now, you can do service-based businesses as well. Like, you can do NP practices, or you can do NP practices, home healthcare businesses, senior living homes, assisted living facilities, whatever you want to do, veterans living home, whatever you want to do. But coaching, what that does is it helps you to collapse time, because then you see, okay, whenever you have an idea, or whenever you think that there's an issue, or whenever you want to do something, then you have somebody to bounce that idea off. See what the risks, the benefits are of it, and then you move in that space, whatever that be, right? So years compressed. Years of trial compressed into days. Clarity replaces confusion, and movement replaces delay. One of the things that helped me so much is, number one, is I had a circle of friends who were in business. Number two is that I had a coach all the time. That's the only thing. That's the reason why I'm successful, right? And the Lord, he listen. We can't leave him out, right? Room collapses time faster than effort will. Conference bridges. Awareness starts here. Execution happens in proximity, and momentum compounds. Every single time you make a move, it compounds the next move, right? Every single video that somebody sees of you, every single time that they see you, that momentum compounds into everything. Now, the final call to action. If you done overthinking, you're ready to move, move down in the comments, and we'll send you over the details to our Millionaire Nurse CEO conference. And we look forward to seeing you there. Again, move down in the comments, and we will look forward to seeing you there. And you, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.